Hello, good day. Once again, this is Arvin Alonso demonstrating to you IT application tools. In this video presentation, I would like to demonstrate how we can develop a payroll system using Microsoft Excel or perhaps any spreadsheet software for that matter. Take note that there are many ways to attack or to develop or to design a payroll system. Uh, this is just one of how you can create a payroll system using your Microsoft Excel. Now, let me show you that I have main sheet here. The main sheet will be actually what you will see later on whenever you open this spreadsheet file or workbook. We have the setup wherein I have some tables here. Afterwards, we will look into how these tables will be utilized. I have here uh, an area where I can set up, for example, the period, the year, the number of working days for this month, and some common benefits in case you have some benefits that are common to all employees, and then also on common deductions. Say for example, you will deduct association contribution or other donations. So this is the purpose of the setup. You have the employee data where you enter all the names and other details of the employees of the company. So here I have the employee name, ID, last name, first name, middle name, sex, civil status, salary grade, and birth date. We also have the DTR Summary. For other payroll systems created in Excel, they really have the individual uh, sheet for the daily time record, and then the spreadsheet will compute the number of hours or days spent for working by the different employees. So here I just have a summary of the hours of overtime, the absences, and tardiness in case an employee has a cash advance. It is also in this sheet that you can have you can enter the value. Then we have the payroll, the main output of the system. So all of this will have a formula. We will go into the details of this afterwards. Then I have another sheet for all loans that are uh, that can be accepted by the company, and that the company allows these loans to be deducted from the employees. I have here a sample of an individual uh, payslip, and if you want to have a summary, the entire payslip, you can design also one if you want to. So let us go into the details. First, I would like to look into the employee data. Normally, this is the first thing that you prepare, the employee data. So here I have the employee ID. Okay, so I converted this one as table, and take note that in sex, for example, I already have a data validation M or F, male or female. For civil status, I have also a data validation SMW, single, married, and widow or widower. Okay, so just to review you for on the use of data validation. So we have here data validation, we have a list, and the source is M or F. Okay, so that's a data validation for sex. The same as true with the civil status. For the salary grade, there's also a data validation, and the range is between 5 to 30. Say for example that the salary grade starts from 5 and it will end up to 30. So just to check. So I'm using a whole number, and then between 5 and 30, minimum, maximum. Okay, you notice that there's also an input message. So we place an input message. You can also include an error alert. Say for example, out of range. Okay, then you have the birth date. Do I have a data validation here? Let's just check that this is my data validation. Let me date 1/1/1950, end date equals to day minus 7/3. I assume that an employee should not have a birthday if, for example, he's not yet, I think this is 18 or 21 years old. So it will be an invalid birth date. So you cannot have an employee that has a birth date, for example, 2010, because that employee will just be 11 years old at this moment. So that's why I have a data validation like that. So 232. You notice also that when I enter a value 232, it says employee ID already existing. Input another value. Why? Because 232 is already existing here. What's the data validation here? The data validation here is this. Custom equals count if ID. What's this ID all about? ID is the name of this data here. So you should name that one ID. A6, you're referring to this one, less than or equal to 1. So when we look at this ID, this will be selected. Okay, so take note that this is converted as table, formatted as table, so that when you add a new value, automatically this will be added. Okay, so and the data validations and other settings will be applied to the next row. So that's for your employee data. Let me just remove this one. Now we go to the DTR summary. So say for example that your DTR summary will allow you to enter the number of hours of overtime, days of absent, and tardiness. I think this is in minutes. Okay, so you have that one, and you can have a cash advance. Okay, let me just check the values for the data validation for cash advance. Data validation, this should be minimum of 0 and maximum of, say for example, up to 10,000 only. So you can also only have a cash advance of maximum 10,000 as your input value. Okay, so this is your DTR summary. Now take note that this one will be based on the employee data. Oh no, so take note of that. But this one is actually displaying the number if it sees a value on column B. Okay, so let us just check the formula. If B3, where is your B3? This one is still blank. You have the blank in 2 double quotations, then it will display a blank value. Otherwise, it will have 1. Okay, but take note, in my second formula, if B4 equals blank, you still display a blank value, but this time when when B4 is not blank, there's already a value in B4, the formula will be A3 plus 1. What's A3? Just 1, and you add 1, so it becomes 2. The same as true with this one. You just need to copy and then paste this one downward. Okay, so and then you have the employee ID. What's the employee ID? So here I'm using two functions. Is blank is actually a function that will determine whether the value of this sheet m data exclamation point entry, m data is found here, this one. Okay, so going back to that, m data exclamation point entry, if it's blank, then it will also return a blank value. Otherwise, it will get the value. Okay, by the way, just to discuss with you how to make use of the if function. The if function will allow you first to specify the condition. When the condition is true, have this as your value, the second after the comma, and when the condition is false, have this as your value. And we will encounter more if functions as we go on. Okay, so that's one. Now, under the full name, I made use of end symbol instead of concatenate, just to show you that we can have concatenate and the ampersand symbol or end symbol. So here, if B3 again is blank, I'm referring to this, it will not display any value. Why am I having this one? So that your worksheet will be neat. Because if I don't have this value, let me just show you. If I don't have that value and there's no value here, let me just show you. There's no value here. You notice that comma period is being displayed. So that's the purpose of having this one, so that there will be no comma and period on those blank sheets or columns or rows yet. So for overtime, you just need to enter a value. Say for example, Domingo, Sabado will have an overtime of 20 hours and one absent, for example. Tardiness, for example, 20. Okay, and for example, there's a cash advance of 5,000. You notice later on that in the payroll, cash advance will be automatically included under Domingo, Sabado, because there's a value in the cash advance here. Okay, now we go to loans. So the loans, I say for example that these are all the loans that you may deduct from the employees. So SSS, consolidated loan, educational, SSS, pag-ibig, pag-ibig housing, pag-ibig lot, pag-ibig salary loan, China Bank, for example, BPI, postal. Perhaps if you have more, then you can include other rows on this. So you just need to enter values for those employees that have loans on these columns. So that's the purpose of this worksheet. Now we proceed to payroll. Let me just increase. So this is the main output of your system. So take note, I have the headings, so you can have your headings. Let me just call this one A, B, C, D, software solutions. I think that's the name that I placed. Okay, so payroll, then you can have the logo of the company. You can insert the logo, and then take note of this for the period of April 2021. Let us check the formula. So I did not enter that one. Instead, I am making use of a formula, and the formula is concatenate inside the close and open quotation, that's double quotation, for the period of, comma, you concatenate it with set up exclamation point D5. What is set up exclamation point D5? It is found here, and we are referring to the month. Okay, so going back to that, set up, comma, take note that I have a comma and a space inside the double quotation that is separating April, comma, and the year. Because set up exclamation point D7 is for the year, so that when you enter, you have this value. Okay, so that's your payroll. Now going over this one, so I am using the same formula for this, and then the same as true with this. I am using the same formula. I am getting the values from the setup, from the employee data. I am concatenating the last name, first name, and the first letter of the middle name. So just to show you the formula for this, again, EM data B3, we are referring to the last name in the employee data sheet, comma, and a space inside the double quotation. Employee data sheet 3, we are referring to the value of the first name, and then a space in between double quotation, so that there will be a space between the last name and the middle initial. The left function here will get whatever character. Say for example, we have here 1, so the first character of the value in employee data exclamation point D3, and we are referring to the middle name, and we would like to get only the first letter of the middle name. Okay, and then period. So the output here, so take note, the comma and the space here refers to this portion. The space that you see between Arvin and B is in this portion. Okay, the left function, so you have only B, and then period. It's the last value here. So this is the concatenate. And then the basic pay is actually using a vlookup function. Okay, let's just go over. So if B9 equals blank, we're referring to this one. There's no value to be displayed in your basic pay. If otherwise, we make use of the vlookup. Vlookup employee data G3. Okay. What is employee data G3? We are referring to this one. G3. This one. We're referring to this area. Okay. The salary grade. Because for every salary grade, there's an equivalent basic pay. Okay. So G3, we would like to get that value, and that is the lookup value. So say for example, let's just check. the salary grade of Alonzo Arvin is 5. So we are looking for the equivalent basic pay of salary grade B5 where in this area. Set up $C, $51 to $D, $76. Take note, I'm using $sign here so that when I copy and paste it on the next sheet cells below this, it will not be changed. And then comma 2. This is the column index, the return value. Where will we get the value in case there's a match on this in this value? Okay, so where is the salary table? This is the salary grade table. So let me highlight this one. So up to here. So that is from C51 to D76. C51 to D76. And I'm getting the value of second column in case there's a match of the employee data G3 or the salary grade. Okay? So, you notice that the salary grade of Alonzo Arvin is 5. And when we check on the table, 5 is 9.5. Check. So, say for example, salary grade 10 is 14,650. Let us try to change the salary grade of Alonzo Arvin into 10 and check the payroll. So, it will automatically adjust. So, after that, you just need to copy and paste the formula to the next cells. But you can do all of this after supplying all the formulas in your first row of data. So, for the OT pay, let me just have a run through. DTR summary, if there's no value of the DTR summary, then there's no value to be displayed here. In case there's a value in the summary C3, then this will be the formula. But take note, I have another if here. So there's an if. The first if is referring to this condition. Now, if this condition is false, this is what should be done by the if. But there's an if in that area. So, if DTR summary equals blank, still 0 will be given. But in case there's a value, this is the formula. Okay? So, D9 over 261 over 12 divided by 8. Why? Because the overtime pay here is based on, I think, let us just check, hours. So, to compute the exact payment, then you need to get the per hour rate of the employee times the DTR summary D3 times 1.5. Okay, so this will get the rate per hour of the employee based on his or her basic pay. That's why you have the D9 here, there. And then times 1.5. So there's a 150% when you render an overtime. Again, overtime depends on the company. The multiplier depends on the company or organization. Okay. COLA. COLA, this is an old law, cost of living allowance. Okay. Say for example, employee data A3 and employee data B3 is blank. There's no value. Otherwise, Again, there's an if here inside the if statement. Okay, so the condition is using a function end, and when we make use of end function, these two conditions inside it must be true. Okay, so that this will be done. If any of this is false, automatically the value when if false, will be executed. And this is what will be executed when one of these conditions will be false. Okay, so 261 over 12 minus DTR times 48. So that you can have the cost of living allowance. Okay, anyway, there are institutions that have a cost of living allowance that will be across, meaning the same value. Okay, I have here a birthday incentive. This is based on the birthday here. Okay, say for example, let me just change this one into April 4/7/1980. So that is Geeking Ferdinand. Under payroll, automatically the employee will get a birthday incentive of 2.5 because that is the condition set here. Okay, so how did we get the month? This is the condition. Employee data H4, we are referring to the birth date in the employee data, equals month of today. Okay, today is a function to get the system date, and month is a function to get the month of the date today. Okay, so that's why it can detect whether it's April, May, June, July based on this. Okay, so that's your birthday incentive. Clothing allowance. The clothing allowance is actually based on the setup. Okay, if there's no clothing allowance here, automatically in the payroll, the row under clothing allowance will be blank. But if there's a value here, say for example 5,000, automatically in the payroll there will be 5,000 clothing allowance for all employees. Okay, let us just check the formula. So here, I'm using this employee data A3, B3. Let me just check employee data B3. B3, okay, we are referring to this one, the last name. Okay, so A3, B3, we're referring to this one and this one. So anyway, you can have different setups on this. You can just have the employee data A3 to determine whether if that is blank, then there's no value to be displayed here. But here, if set up G of $G, $5, we are referring to the value and under setup, and that is actually the area where we place the clothing allowance value. If it's blank, then there's no value to be displayed here. Otherwise, it will get the value entered in the setup sheet. And we are referring to this. Okay? So, the same is true with the calamity allowance. If calamity allowance is available as one of your incentives or compensation, this is done normally during time of typhoon, or other calamities. Then you can have a sports allowance if you have to. All of these are actually under setup. So you just need to call the values here by specifying the exact cell name together with the worksheet name. So then gross income is getting all of this, adding all of this. So you have that one. But take note, and B9, C9, D9 is blank, no value. If there's no value here, there's no value here, there's no value here, no value will be displayed in the gross income. Otherwise, if all of this has values, automatically gross income will display the value. It depends upon you. I am just showing you how you can make your worksheet clean when values are not yet available, especially in your data entry. Now, with regards to withholding tax, you just don't deduct the withholding tax based on the gross income. Or why? Because there are mandatory deductions like your SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig. If you are a government employee, you are referring to the GSIS. You should not also include, for example, the late or absences. Now, kindly check your taxation. What are those things included as mandatory deduction? What are those that should not be included before in the computation of the withholding tax? But in this demonstration, I just made use of the gross income as my basis to compute the withholding tax. But take note, to compute the withholding tax, you should be able to deduct first all the mandatory and other things that should be removed. And that is actually if I am right, that's taxable income. Okay, that's taxable income. The withholding tax should be based on the taxable income. So let me just have a run through. I'm using the formula of our Philippine taxation here. So do not be amazed or confused perhaps on the length of the formula. Let me just have a run through of this. Again, if L9 is blank, I'm referring to the gross income. Take note, I'm using gross income as my basis for the withholding tax. But again, base it on the taxable income, deducting the mandatory and other things. Okay, so here, L9, I'm referring to gross income. If it's greater than 666,667, the withholding tax will be computed as 200,833.83 plus L9 minus 66667 is actually the excess. Okay? Kung halimbawa 700,000 ang kanyang gross income, kukunin niya yung 700,000 minus 666,667. Multiply it to 35% plus this one, 208,333. So imagine if you are receiving a monthly salary of 700,000, you will have to pay more than 200,000 for your withholding tax. That's just an example. Okay? If L9 is greater than or equal to 166,667, then the computation is this one. Sir, or 700,000 is also greater than or equal to 16667. Yes, it's true. But take note, if this is uh, if if this is already satisfied as true, all of these other conditions will be ignored. Okay? Then we have the next condition here, that is 66,667, and then the next condition is 3333, and this will be the formula, and the next condition is greater than 28,333. You will just have 0 plus L9 minus 20 times 20%. Otherwise, if you have a gross income or taxable income of less than 20,833, then you will have no withholding tax. No withholding tax to be deducted from the employee. So that's how you can make use of the multiple ifs as a way to get the right value. Okay, so that's why 24,671 has a withholding tax of 767, meaning to say that is only under this 20% of the excess in the 2833. Okay, so for the PhilHealth, I'm using a vlookup L9 set up I17 to N47, and I'm getting the value in the column 4. Where is this coming from? Here, SSS. Okay, SSS up to here. Okay. So here, for example, 580.80. Where is 580.80? Take note, I have here the employee monthly share and monthly premium. So this is the basis for the PhilHealth SSS I7 to N47. Column 4, we're getting column 4 I7 to N47. Actually, there's a hidden value here. That's L, K. So this is supposed to be what should be taken. The employee monthly share. Okay, 508, 580. That's why. So that's under your SSS. The same as true with for Pag-ibig, the same as true. We get the value and in the setup. Take note, you can have other names of your worksheet. You can store it in other worksheet aside from putting it under setup. This is just my example. Okay, so under Pag-ibig, this is just the computation. I would like you to refer to the search for how this Pag-ibig premium can be computed. Here, for example, L9 is less than 1.5. This is the computation, and then L2 times 2% if it's greater than 1.5. But I think this is not the correct formula for the Pag-ibig. Then for late, if you have a late, if you were late for certain minutes, and this will be deducted from you. So this is the formula, 261 over 12 over 8. So that, because we are referring to number of minutes, I think, for the late here, over 60 number of minutes. Then it will be multiplied to the number of minutes that we place in the DTR summary here. Okay, so let me just show you. Say for example, Alonzo Arvin has no tardiness. So meaning in the payroll, 0 is the value. For absences, again, it's based on the DTR summary, number of days absent. So here, D9 over 261 over 12, number of days. We are just getting the number of days times the DTR summary E3. We are referring to this one. Okay, and then for the cash advance, we are getting the value. We're just getting the value in the DTR summary column G3. And then for donations, we are getting the value in the setup J7, $J, $7 setup here, J7. Now take note, you can have a name on this sheets, on these cells, so that you will not check every now and then the cell address. Okay, so that's one technique also that you can apply. And then for the total loans availed, we have here, we just get the value here, 3,000. Okay, so and then others is actually found in your setup, this one, other deductions. And then total deductions, you just get the sum of withholding tax up to others. Okay, and then the net pay. Net pay is deducting total deductions from the gross income. So you have this one as your net pay. Okay, so going back to this, let me just check this one. Tax month today. So you get the month of today, okay, times 28 and convert it to text with this format, MMMM. MMMM will display the complete, or the complete name of the month. Okay, if this is 3M's, it's the abbreviation. If this is 2M, it's the numeric value. Okay, so this is also for year of today. This one, we need to enter this one. So if this is 22 working days, then this will be the basis for the deductions for the in this area. Okay, so then input these values. Take note, you design this one in such a way that it will be neat to look at. Actually, after all of this, you need to hide some columns and some rows. Okay, say for example that I don't need this, I'm done with this sheet, I need to hide these tables, then I'll highlight them and hide, so I don't see anymore the tables as my reference in my vlookup. And say for example that I would like also to hide L to the last and hide. Okay, I will just make this one. So when I have this is what I can see only. Color this one, fill, so that it will look neat So this is what you only see under setup. Under employee data, this is what you only see. Okay, you don't see anymore the other columns because they are hidden. Okay, let me just show you. Unhide. Okay, so I'll click on column J, Control Shift right arrow key to go to the last column, hide. Right click, hide. Okay, the same as true with my DTR summary. Other columns and rows are hidden. The same as true with my payroll. Other columns and rows that are not to be used are hidden. Okay? Even on their loans. And then, let me just show you the pay slip in case you intend to have the pay slip. This is for individual. The individual pay slip is based on what you type here. Say for example, there's an employee ID number of 123. Observe carefully what happens if 123 is found in the payroll. Automatically, the value here changes from the employee name up to this one. How was this assigned? Again, you can hide this one. How was this assigned? You notice that these are gray area and this is white area. I set this up, okay, as the printable area. Where's the printable area? Set print area. So that when you print, this is what only be printed in this worksheet. So when